South Africa has more ways to stay legally than most people realize. The problem isn't the option, it's knowing which one is actually yours. If you search for South Africa visa information online, you will find dozens of videos about the Digital Nomad Visa. Few about the Golden Visa, almost nothing that gives you the full picture. This video is that picture. 4 visa types, who they are for, what they actually require, and the one thing about each that most people get wrong. We spent months searching South Africa's visa system, YouTube, immigration websites, forums, and eventually a professional immigration agency that puts the whole picture into focus. What we found: there's a visa for almost every life situation: the digital nomad who works remotely, the person with investment income who doesn't need to work at all, the specialist whose skills are genuinely in demand, and the one that sounds intimidating until you realize you might actually qualify. The right starting question isn't how do I apply, it's which type even applies to me. South Africa introduced the remote work visa, sometimes called the Digital Nomad Visa, specifically for people who earn their income from employers or clients outside South Africa. The core requirement: proof of a gross annual income of at least 650,000 rand, that's roughly 35,000 euros per year depending on the exchange rate. You also need international health insurance, that's recognized in South Africa, and a clean police record. No property to buy, no investment to make. Just show us you earn enough to support yourself and that your employer is not South African. There's one thing worth knowing before you get too far into the planning. This visa does not lead to permanent residence. It's a clean, accessible way to live and work in South Africa legally, but if long-term settlement is your goal, you will need a different route. More on that shortly. On the tax side, if you stay under 183 days in South Africa per year, you remain outside the tax system entirely. Your home country tax rules apply. Stay longer and you register with the South African Revenue Service, but double taxation agreements usually prevent you from being taxed twice on the same income. Now, here's the one that surprised us the most. It's called the Retired Person Visa. And almost everyone hears that name and immediately thinks, that's not for me. I'm not retired, I don't have a pension. Wrong. This is probably the most misunderstood visa in the South African system. The Retired Person Visa is available to anyone, regardless of age. You can demonstrate a monthly passive income of at least 37,000 rand per person. Passive income means dividends from a share portfolio, rental income from a property, interest on savings or bonds, a company pension, yes, but also any structured income stream that arrives without you actively working for it. So if you have a stock portfolio that generates dividends or a flat in your home city that you rent out, you may already qualify. No age requirement, no SA employer needed, no active job. Alternatively, if you don't have monthly passive income, but you have capital, you can demonstrate sufficient funds held in an account for the duration of the visa, typically issued for 4 years. One important caveat with this visa: you cannot work in South Africa. It's for people whose financial life runs on income that doesn't require them to work locally. And one note for 2026, South Africa's white paper on immigration, currently under revision, has proposed raising the minimum age to access this visa. As of now, there is no age floor, but this is worth monitoring if your timeline extends into 2027 and beyond. The Critical Skills Visa is for people whose profession is on South Africa's official shortage list. Fields like IT, engineering, medicine, and certain sciences. It's the most complex of the 4 to apply for, and it's the only one on this list that has a direct pathway to permanent residence. Your foreign qualifications need to be evaluated and recognized by the South African Qualification Authority. That process alone takes 1 to 2 or 3 months. You will need to register with a relevant South African professional body in your field. That sounds like a lot because it is. The significant advantage here with this visa, you can change employers within your field without applying for a new visa. And after 5 years on a qualifying work visa, you can apply for permanent residence directly. For specialists who want South Africa as a long-term base, not just a lifestyle test drive, this is the serious route. The financially independent permit is not a temporary visa, it's a direct route to permanent residence. One application, one approval, and you have the right to live in South Africa indefinitely without ever renewing. The requirement, a provable net worth of at least 12 million rand, at current exchange rates at 600,000 euros, plus a one-time government fee of 120,000 rand on approval. No employment requirement, no active income needed, just assets. Now, 600,000 euros sounds like a serious number, and it is. But here's the thing most people do not know. South African immigration counts global net worth. That includes your assets outside South Africa. Property, savings, investment portfolios, pension funds. Anyone who owns an apartment in Munich, Milano, Paris or London is in many cases already in the ballpark for this permit. The number is less intimidating once you account for everything you already have. No age restriction, no work requirement, no employer or income stream to maintain. This is the most independent of all 4 options, and once approved, it doesn't expire. Here's the overview to be studied in peace. Knowing which visa type fits your situation is step 1. Getting your application through is step 2, and that part is genuinely complex. South Africa's immigration system is thorough. Police certificates, medical reports, certified translations, proof of qualifications, and applications no longer go directly to the Department of Home Affairs. They go through a processing center. One observation from our process: embassies are not particularly enthusiastic about field questions from the general public. The information you need exists, but navigating it without guidance takes a lot of time and carries a real risk of missing something. We ended up working with an immigration agency, IMCOSA, based in Cape Town. What stood out wasn't just the accuracy of the information, it was the experience of being genuinely guided through the process, which documents in which order, what the common mistakes are, where to push and where to wait. If you're serious about this, a qualified immigration practitioner is not a luxury. It's the difference between a clean application and a month of back and forth with an embassy that would rather not hear from you at all. There are several agencies in this space: IMCOSA, IBN, Immigration Solutions, Black Pen, and many others. Do your own research on what fits your situation. What matters is that you do not navigate this alone. So, for visa types, one question: which one is yours? If you earn your income remotely from outside South Africa, remote work visa. If you live on passive income, dividends, rent, interest, regardless of age, retired person visa, and don't let the name put you off. If you're a specialist in your field South Africa actively needs and you want a pathway to permanent residence through your profession, critical skilled visa. And if you're looking for a permanent anchor, a legal right to be here that doesn't expire and doesn't require you to work, and your global assets are in the right territory, financial independent permit. Check what you already own before you assume you do not qualify. The South African visa system, when you understand it, has a certain logic to it. There's a path for almost every life situation. The trick is finding the right door. Which of these 4 sounds most like your situation? Drop it in the comments, and if you have a question about a specific type, ask it there. We will do our best to answer. If you haven't seen our comparison of South Africa against 6 other countries, visa costs, investment requirements, the full picture, that video is right here. And if you're wondering why we chose South Africa overall, that one is here too. Subscribe if you want to follow where this goes.